Here's how you know a relationship is a good relationship for you. It makes you feel better about yourself, not worse. It makes you feel more loved. So if you are not getting those things, it's a relationship you can't be in.
Here is today's case.
My boyfriend David doesn't want kids, and it's causing major problems.
I told Emma that I don't want children and that I've never wanted children.
He refuses to move to Arizona and make things work.
I'm here today because me and my girlfriend Emma aren't on the same page at all.
He hasn't made the commitment that I want. We're either moving forward or we're done.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, as you know, for the first time on Divorce Court, we have a virtual audience and it's filled with your superfans. Today's superfan of the day is Anissa from Miami, Florida.
Anissa, welcome to Divorce Court. We're so happy to have you with us today.
Your Honor, this is the case of Branson versus Dranoff.
Thank you, Juan. Emma Branson.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have brought Mr. David Dranoff
Yes, Your Honor.
to court today. You are suing for $400, but you say the two of you have had a lot of problems in your relationship.
Yes,
and that's
Your Honor.
really the crux of the issues that you want to talk about today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll hear from you first, ma'am. Tell me what's happening.
Well, I mean, when we first started seeing each other, it was like, you know, fireworks and rainbows and everything. And just over the years, it seems like things are kind of simmering down. And I'm not really feeling the same effort and commitment from him that I once thought that was possible for us, especially 8 years down the line. I mean, we've been together nearly a decade. There's just some fundamental issues, I think, that we're not seeing eye to eye on.
What do you say the fundamental issues are, briefly? I want to hear from you.
Well, I mean, the first thing is I'm a very good-looking woman, and, you know, I'm getting up in age. I'm, you know, about to be 30. So there was a time where I was against having children, and that was something that we even bonded on. But as I get older, there's just this biological need, I feel, to create a family.
You changed your mind?
Yeah, I changed my mind.
Give me some background, sir. Tell me what's happening. Why do you believe you've ended up here after 8 years?
I mean, Emma was just talking about how it's kind of simmering down, but if you're kind of like making a sauce or something, you know, you're going to be talking about cooking. It's like you're not just trying to boil the whole time and then what, it just boils right off and then it's like done and it's right on the, you got to clean it up off the kitchen floor. It's like if it's simmering, it's like something good is cooking and maybe, you know, it'll last, or like you either turn the heat off or you keep it right. Like you can't kind of have it want to explode and then also like want it to be under control at the same time.
So you're saying simmering is a part of the process?
I mean, at a certain point, it's like you find a groove and you're kind of with it.
Are the two of you even living in the same state anymore?
No, we're not. And that's a big part of the problem too, is that he wants me to move to nowhere, Pennsylvania, when my work is in Arizona, and I moved out there because I was making better money. And I just feel like he hasn't ever suggested like, oh, I'll come move out to Arizona. This is the first time I'm seeing him since March. And like, granted, we're in a pandemic, but if you love someone, that doesn't stop you. I'm essential. I should be essential to you.
So the two of you met, you were living in the same city. How long have you been long distance?
The last 2 years.
So for 2 years, you've been long distance, but you've been able to maintain the relationship despite living across the country from each other?
Yeah.
Have you been out to Arizona to visit?
Yeah, I was there, right. I was there in, just before the pandemic happened. And we were, right, it was like nice, but in terms of that kind of place, it's like, it's hot and it's all spread out and it's not really something that I'm like accustomed to at all. And it's
so
not
you're not
really
ready to relocate?
Right.
So here you are. What are the other fundamental differences you say you have?
I think a huge one has to do with Fidelity, and I have a reason to think he has a French sugar daddy.
Okay, what are your reasons?
He kind of alluded it to me, but he didn't say that he was doing anything or that he was getting any money for it, but he was hanging out with this older guy when he was overseas, and he was just going to nice restaurants and, you know, shopping at fancy places, and it just didn't add up to me. So when I found out that he was going and visited this guy...
You jumped to the conclusion that it was a sugar daddy?
I don't think it's that big of a jump.
Well, what's going on, Mr. Dranoff?
So, for my kind of work, I mean, I make like custom clothes and leather goods and just pretty much anything that I can to be able to stay afloat. And I've put myself in situations where I've had to go to other countries and like try to find work or try to find other things to like be able to sustain the interest that I have and to be able to like push my career and myself forward.
Who pays for the trips?
Me, with my work.
Ms. Branson, why do you say that this was someone that he had a friendship with and they hung out with on multiple occasions? Because he's in court today.
He's denying it.
Saying that he doesn't know who
He's
this person
denying it.
is. What did he tell you?
I mean, I just surmised it based on his relationship with this guy that he was telling me that he was going to visit.
Oh, he said he was going to visit this person?
He told me after he came back from the trip.
That he went to visit this person?
Yeah.
So who did you go to visit?
I went to Dieppe in France, which is a town 2 hours outside of Paris, and to meet an ivory carver there. And I mean, that's the kind of work that he does, and like someone who...
How did you meet him? What was the connection?
So I live about an hour outside of the city right now, and the reason that I'm able to do that is because I have a family friend, or like, you know, someone I've known for a long time and I've done work for and everything like that, and he's...
Another old man.
It's true. And like what did I do? I went and I asked him before my trip, I said, I'm going to France. Is there any region that you know about that has something that I should go visit, or somebody, you know, something specific? Because
So
this
you got
guy
the
knows-
recommendation.
He's essentially a historian. So like.
Okay, I think I've heard enough of this because I don't think the issue is the age of his friends. I think the issue was more of she thought it was you weren't being forthcoming about the entire trip and what was going on the trip. You say that's absolutely not true.
He was constantly running off, and yeah, I stepped out in the relationship. I did.
You don't seem to be very remorseful about it.
No.
Is there anything else you want to say, Ms. Branson, before I close the case? I think I've heard enough.
I have to be honest.
What are your issues? What in this relationship, what's
Right.
happening between the two of you?
I mean, so Emma is just like, I mean, she said, she's mentioned having children like recently, and that's kind of just like came out of nowhere because it is something that we like never really spoke about. It's something that we didn't make like a part of our lives. And like we've even had conversations about like the, you know, like the negatives of that. And also, I mean, it's just, if she's looking for that, if she's looking for kind of like a situation like that, maybe she's looking for someone who's got a different lifestyle than like what I've been cultivating. Because I mean, you've just been here for, you know, we don't even know each other, and you already know that I'm like talking to a bunch of old men and like trying to learn different things from them or anything. And it's like not really a place where like
You're
I'm
not in a place in your life where you want to have children.
Right. And I mean, like like the house that I'm living in, it's like it doesn't have any Wi-Fi. I don't have heat. I don't have in the summertime.
Oh, you don't have Wi-Fi?
air.
You definitely can't have a child.
Right. I don't
What are
have.
you talking
I don't
about,
have
Mr.
heat. I don't have air conditioning in the summer. It gets the other day it was 52 when I woke up, and like a couple months before that it was 92 when I went to sleep.
So you're saying you're roughing it.
Yeah.
You're roughing it right now.
And I mean, like, so she's expecting me to do what? Like, I have to totally, like, I'm making these sacrifices. Like, I'm trying to go out and, like, make it so that my life is kind of as like, minimal as possible, so I don't really have these overhead expenses, so that I can kind of cultivate the life that I was looking for. So that
Has she been faithful in the relationship?
I mean, there are some times where, like, I know she hasn't been.
A couple of years ago, you said something happened.
Yeah, I mean, he was constantly running off on these, you know, questionable trips to Europe, and I just felt really neglected. And yeah, I stepped out in the relationship. I did. And I told him about it. I mean, I didn't really tell him. He kind of saw me with someone else, but
Okay. So you didn't tell him.
I did tell him.
He
He
caught
found
you.
out, yeah. And his reaction just made me kind of feel like he didn't care at all. It's like we didn't even have a conversation about it. He was just kind of like, oh, whatever.
How did he catch you?
He had just gotten back from one of his trips and came to the bar that we usually go to, and I was there with someone else.
Okay. So you weren't really trying to hide it that much, were you?
No,
You don't seem to be very remorseful about it.
no,
Why?
because he didn't seem to care, so why should I?
So the two of you had a discussion. What was your reaction when you saw her?
I mean, right, like you said, I just came back, and it's like, I mean, it was jarring and everything, but like, how can I hold someone accountable like that when I'm kind of on this like loosey-goosey, like I'm out of the country or I'm here and there, and like I'm working different jobs, and I'm like being able to like have this mobility and flexibility, but not really tie somebody else down. I cared so much about her where it's like that, you know, it was like a fling more than just something, you know, it wasn't something that they were really like trying to, it didn't seem like it was like for a long haul or something like that. It just seemed like it was kind of something that happened.
So that's extremely understanding for
Like,
divorce court. We don't hear that very often here.
Yeah, it's disturbingly understanding.
You seem to be more upset that he wasn't upset about
Yes.
it than anything else.
On one of his trips, he left and didn't pay my electric bill. He just let my lights get shut off.
So although you moved to Arizona for work, you're saying you weren't making enough money to pay your electric and phone bill?
I was making enough money.
You just wanted him to pay it?
Yes.
If you'd like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Miss the show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms and follow us on social media for exclusive content. Where are you in the relationship right now?
We're at a crossroads. It's kind of, we either commit to each other fully and try to work on the mutual goals and also the separate goals that each of us have together.
Are there any common goals between the two of you anymore? I don't hear them. The two of you
We
still-
have great conversation, you know.
Well, you
we
have
can-
great conversation with a stranger.
Right. I just feel like there is a chemistry there. There is a very strong connection there, and it's hard to let go of, especially when you're going on 10 years of being with someone. I've always been able to talk to him, and that's really valuable to me.
But there's been 2 years where you've been apart,
Yes.
and there are a number of fundamental core issues that you now disagree on.
Right.
For you, you're 28 years old, you say you want children. He has not changed his mind about that. You know, and 8 years of being in a relationship is not going to change that in the future. So many people try to stay in a relationship because they think somehow they're going to convince the other person to come their way. And what you don't want to happen is 9, 10, 11 years go by, and it's like, wait a minute, then you're mad because they haven't changed their mind.
I don't want to put her in a place where we're married or something, and she's like expecting me to have, you know, like a job where I can pay for a family, or like all of these other things that it's just like, it's not completely unreasonable, but it's like,
It's not you.
Right,
It's not you.
exactly. Is she
That's honest.
Right.
And you can't be upset with someone for being honest, and it sounds like that's who Mr. Dranoff has been since day one in the relationship.
Right.
You're suing for $400. What is that about?
The $400 I'm suing about is...
Now, you know he doesn't have any money. No, I'm just kidding. What are you suing for, ma'am?
Well, yeah, that's part of the problem. On one of his trips, he left and didn't pay my electric bill because he pays my electric and my cell phone.
In Arizona?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like a man should be a provider, no matter where he is.
Okay.
And he just let my lights get shut off, and he was in a foreign country and didn't even wire me money, didn't send me a check, didn't PayPal me, nothing. I didn't even know that he was going to be away for as long as he was. So he just like bought a one-way ticket, and I had to figure out and scrape together my own coins to pay
So
my electric
although you
bill.
moved to Arizona for work, you're saying you weren't making enough money to pay your electric and phone bill?
I was making enough money.
You just wanted him to pay it. Was that
Yes.
the agreement, sir? You owe her
Agreement.
$400?
When did any of this get agreed upon? But right, I mean, it's just like, oh, like I should be doing that. You know, like I don't have any problem throwing her a few bucks if like
Did you
I
agree
have...
to that? That is the question.
No, it's
The
like
two of you never agreed to that?
no, it's just like it's ridiculous. It's like why would I say that I would be able to do that if I'm putting myself like when
You don't even have electricity.
right.
You don't
right.
even have
I
heat.
have electricity. I
No
just
Wi-Fi.
I don't have air conditioning or heat.
That's his choice, Your Honor. I don't have to
But
live
like this
that.
is a choice that I'm making so that I can have the life that like I want to live. And if she doesn't want to really be in that kind of life, it's like, you know, I can't say that I understand it, but it's just not like something that I'm putting out there.
Are there
I
any text
understand-
messages between the two of you where you discuss that he hasn't paid the bill? Did you hit him up via text? Did you say, hey, what's going on?
I don't.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say, Ms. Branson, before I close the case? I think I've heard enough.
I have to be honest. I've been living with someone else in Tucson. A guy that I've been seeing.
And you still suing him for your phone and electricity bill?
That seems like it doesn't.
When did that happen? When did you move in with someone else?
Within the last 6 months.
6 months, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So shortly after he left Arizona in March, you moved in with someone else.
Times are hard.
You can afford to live by yourself, so that's why you moved in with him, or is this is this your boyfriend now? This is someone that you're sleeping with?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mr. Dranoff?
Yeah. Yes, yes, Your Honor.
I'll allow you an opportunity to respond before I close the case, because this resolves all the issues that are before me in divorce court.
Right.
There's really not much left to be said.
Like, I feel like she could have just, like, I guess we didn't really have to make this big a deal out of this whole thing if, like, that was the answer, you know? Like, we didn't have to come out here and, like, be on this show if she could have just said that. And, like, instead she's saying that I'm, like, sleeping with these old men.
Well, maybe she's accusing you because it's a guilty conscience.
That's exactly what it sounds like to me, Your Honor.
But now that you've heard this,
yeah.
And I know it's hard because this is not where you want to hear something like this from
Right.
someone that you've been in a relationship with for 8 years.
Right.
It's hard.
Even if
So
it's been, like, kind of, you know.
gather yourself for a second,
Right.
and I'll give you the final word.
You know, I think Emma's always right, you know, and, like, that's just the way that she is, and that's the way that it is. And, like, you know, I think she knows what she's got going on for herself, and, like, I think, you know, like, we all make our beds, and, like, we got to sleep in them, you know? I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's like...
Mr. Dranoff?
Yeah.
Mr. Dranoff, let me say this to you, sir. You are who you are.
Right.
And I think it's time for you to go and find someone who appreciates you for who you are. If they want to, they want to live in nowhere, Pennsylvania, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Right.
The two of you can rough it and have no Wi-Fi,
Right.
no running water. Once a month, you drive into Philly, have a nice dinner, get you some cheesesteaks,
doesn't sound
and just
bad.
live your life and be happy. You seem like you have a lot of good qualities that someone will really appreciate, sir.
Thank you.
Because I sit in this courtroom every day, and believe me, good qualities are in short supply. So don't feel bad about yourself.
Right.
Feel good, knowing you can move on.
Right.
And you can have closure now after today. Now, you do have the audacity to come into court and sue him over your phone bill and your light bill when you know you'd moved in with another man. The case is dismissed on the law. And the relationship, you've already come to the conclusion on that on your own. You don't start over from scratch. You start over from experience.
Right.
You've learned a lot. Good luck to both of you.
When Judge Faith dissolved our relationship, I felt that Emma had the perfect opportunity to get 2.5 kids and a bunch of credit card debt.
I felt free, and I'm ready to live my new life. I waited to come to court to reveal the fact that I've moved on because I felt like Judge Faith is a good mediator.
I mean, I can't believe that she would treat me this way after 8.5 years. You should have told me. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, how could you, why would you play me like that?
I didn't think I was playing you so much as just, you know,
You're just,
trying to
like,
live a good life.
You know what?
And
like,
you don't want to give that to me.
I'll
so
see you around, you know? Like, we're done.